I've been thinking about Murphy beds recently. You know, those beds that fold up and transform into the wall. It got me wondering, why has nobody invented a Murphy toilet? I mean, that thing stinks, it's dirty. Why does it get to have its own room? I think we would all be a lot happier if we could do the same with our toilet, fold it up and just get it out of our sight. So I'm gonna take on this responsibility. Not only am I gonna design the Murphy toilet, I'm gonna design 10 of them. Like the Murphy bed, I think there are a lot of options for where it goes and what it becomes. I'm gonna explore all those possibilities. I'll be designing them in Blender and rendering out an animation for each so we can really visualize the Murphiness of the toilet. So my first instinct with the Murphy toilet is to copy the mechanism of those collapsible dog bowls, creating a system of concentric rings that collapse inwards. So starting with this toilet base model, I used a cylinder primitive to approximate the size of a bowl, and then I created some insets and loop cuts to divide it into 4 pieces. I parented those pieces together and created a couple keyframes to get the animation blocked out. I resized the tank and created a platform for it to rest on. But it wasn't Murphying enough. The whole game here is space efficiency, and there's still more room to be saved. I decided to open the platform into an arch shape and slot the bowl inside. Then I gave it a standing desk mechanism. A little bit of water simulation here because, I don't know, I thought it'd be funny. And then onto the lighting. This emissive window with an HDRI image is pretty much lighting the whole thing. And then I have this point light here for a fill. Interior scenes like this can be pretty notorious for slow render times due to the bounces between 6 walls, thus why I removed 3 of them to greatly reduce the number of bounces. And here's the first Murphy toilet. Gorgeous. Let me know in the comments if you would buy this at IKEA. For this next one, my vision is to use a bunch of mechanical arms to deconstruct the toilet into individual parts. The base toilet was only 3 pieces. So I'll start by bisecting the toilet in half so it can open up. I'll also separate the tank from the bowl. I'll add a keyframe for all the pieces in their initial position, and then another keyframe at their final positions. That's already a pretty good start. I added an armature system and parented some mech parts to the bones. I built this cabinet to house the thing. When Murphy beds fold away, they usually reveal something else. They don't just display the bed like it's in standby mode. So brilliant idea, just thought of this on the spot and not way before I pressed record, but this one's gonna turn into a TV. It can rise out of the floor and the bathroom can become a home theater. Similar lighting approach as the last render, but this time I added a volume object to really show off the nice TV glow. And here's the final render. Come on, how cozy does that look? Imagine watching Boardwalk Empire in there, that could be fun. Another idea I had for a Murphy toilet was to open it up like a book. In Blender, I resized this cube into a rectangular shape and gave it a simple deform modifier. A bunch of loop cuts later, and we're getting a little closer to a toilet. My first goal here was just to make a toilet that uncurls itself, but pretty quickly I had another vision for what this Murphy toilet could be. With a few shape keys and a pre-made chair cushion, I knew it was destined to become a recliner toilet. I added a bunch of pistons and then some chains using curve modifiers. This Murphy toilet is done. I can just really imagine chilling on this, reading a book, maybe even listening to a CD. For the next Murphy toilet, I want to create a toilet that pitches backwards like your typical Murphy bed. And like those Murphy beds, this one will become storage space. I'm going to separate the bottom of the mesh into its own object so it can hinge open like a cabinet. The toilet isn't concealing itself enough, so I'll extrude these faces up and over it and create a chamber for it to sit inside, rounding off the corners of the chamber to give it an arch shape and make the toilet fit snug. I've added a bunch of physical media, books, CDs, records. I retroactively sized up the lower section to hold 12-inch records. I also want to show you how I made these records. It's basically just a textured cube, but I used some geometry nodes to procedurally create this displacement. And after a quick render, here's the physical media Murphy toilet. Finally, a place to put my CD-ROMs. Alright, for the next toilet, I want to get abstract on the concept of Murphy. What is the essence of Murphy? Is it about going into storage? Is it about becoming something else? Something between a toilet and the unknown? Anyway, for this one I'm turning a toilet into several framed paintings. Let's not think too hard about the plumbing on this, and just sort of appreciate it for what it is. I mean, some TVs do this too and you're not questioning them. How do they turn into a painting? I mean, the screen turns off, the power turns off, well, how is it displayed? For the actual art, I went to a bunch of public domain websites and found things that stuck out to me. I like this website because it lets you search for a keyword. That's how I found this toilet painting. Okay, and then for this shag rug, this was surprisingly easy. I just added a fur object in Blender and then just tweaked the existing modifiers on it. But the secret here really was stealing images of rugs on Home Depot's website. Don't tell them, but if you're the photographer who took these images, let me know in the comments and I will apologize. And there we go. Maybe the most artistic toilet I've ever seen in my life. I think taking a crap on that thing would feel inspiring. This next one is a pull-down toilet. It's basically a combination between a Murphy bed and a pull-down attic, and also a toilet. I'm gonna speed through this one because it's a lot of stuff that I've already covered, but I'll point out that this is the first time in Blender I've actually used the bounce interpolation. I hit it by accident and it was too funny. I just had to leave it in. I think this one's great because when you're not using it, it just lives on your roof where the birds can use it. I have to admit, I'm starting to feel a little bad for these toilets. I mean, they're just trying to do their jobs, and I'm acting like there's some curse to be vanquished into the night. If I were a toilet, I wouldn't want to be taken for granted. What's the opposite of a Murphy toilet? A toilet that goes from 1 toilet to 2? Or 3? How about 6? Originally, I envisioned this toilet splitting apart linearly, but I just had another idea to do it radially, like a spiral staircase. Doesn't that sound amazing? A spiral staircase toilet? Where does it go? Who do you get to meet? I have a little geometry node set up here to do the rotating and repeating so I can have the height offset going at the same time. And then I made this circular reservoir so the stuff has somewhere to go. And how about some LED lighting? I feel like the people who use this thing would be into that. Damn, total chef's kiss. Okay, I'm gonna confess something. I don't actually use my oven that often. Sure, I use it a few times a month here and there, but most days of the week, that thing is just kind of a waste of space. That space could easily be occupied by like a toilet, maybe? Polyhaven, a public domain website I've mentioned in the past, has an absurdly good toilet model. It's rigged, you can open the toilet and turn the dials. This is incredible. I'm gonna grab the toilet that I bisected for one of the previous scenes and place it in the final position outside the oven. If I arrange it in the perfect pose, it'll just barely fit inside. It actually kind of feels like I'm putting a toilet into a yin-yang pose. Maybe the most zen I've ever seen a toilet. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Let's stick that toilet in the oven and set a timer for 30 minutes. I'm gonna grab some kitchen assets from a previous project, throw a spotlight on it, and I'm just gonna call this one done. Why? No reason. Am I seeing porcelain everywhere I look now? No, certainly not. What if a basketball hoop was a toilet? All right. Ooh. Basketball hoop, let's do this thing. I basically used shape keys to animate this backboard to a toilet seat, and I gave it rotation. And then I built out this little suburban street that you see here, and then I added this cube with a volume shader to give it some haze, which, in my opinion, ties the whole thing together. We all love shooting hoops, but sometimes you gotta shit some crap out of your ass, and I know that's true. Those are all the toilets that I made. All, wait, did I do 10? Or is that only 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, where did the 10th toilet go? Hold on, 1 sec. I'll be right back. Why has nobody invented a Murphy toilet? That thing stinks, it's dirty. What is the essence of Murphy? Something between a toilet and the unknown? Is it about becoming something else? I'm gonna take on this responsibility. If I were a toilet, I wouldn't want to be taken for granted. If I were a